Hello everyone and welcome to edupediaworld.com. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is income not forming part of the total income. In our subject of taxation, the calculation of income tax payable revolves around the calculation of total taxable income. So first of all, we have to calculate the total taxable income, and then only we can calculate the income tax payable on that. And for that purpose, we have to exclude the exempted incomes from our total income. Until and unless we remove the exempted incomes from our total income, we will not be able to get the total taxable income and consequently the total tax payable on it. So in this chapter, we'll learn about the various exempted incomes which do not form part of our total income because they are exempted from income tax. By virtue of this Income Tax Act, they have been exempted and they do not form part of our total income, and hence we don't have to pay income tax on it. So in this chapter, we'll learn various types of incomes which are exempted and which do not form part of our total income. So let us start. What do we mean by exemption? In general parlance, exemption means excluded or which do not form part of. So as per the IT Act also, exempted income means income which will not enter the computation of total income in order to apply the income tax rates. So these exemptions are covered in Chapter 3 of the Income Tax Act, and under Chapter 3 it is included in Section 10. The various subsections of Section 10 gives us the various items of income which will not be included in the total income, and they are known as exempted income. In this chapter, we'll learn the various incomes which are exempted from income tax and which do not form part of the total income, which are known as the exempted income. For example, first of all, we'll learn about the agricultural income, and then about the various incomes of an employee like gratuity, pension, etc., which after some calculations are exempted from the calculation of total taxable income. So let us first of all start this topic of exempted income from our first category of exempted income, that is agricultural income. Section 10 of the Income Tax Act 1961, containing all the categories and types of exempted income, starts with Section 10 subsection 1, that is agricultural income. So agricultural income comes first in the category of exempted income. Agricultural income is exempt from income tax if it comes within the definition of agricultural income as given in Section 2 subsection 1a. So in order to claim exemption of agricultural income, the assessee has to prove that the income which he is earning is agricultural income, and he has to satisfy certain conditions given under Section 2 subsection 1a, which will define agricultural income. So if the income is falling under that definition, then it will be exempted. But if the income does not fall under that definition and it does not fulfill the conditions prescribed under that definition, then that income will not be considered as an agricultural income and hence will not be exempted. So we have to be very particular about determining whether the income is agricultural income or not. Secondly, the reason for totally exempting agricultural income from the scope of central income tax is that under the Constitution, the Parliament has no power to levy a tax on agricultural income. It is by virtue of the constitution. In our constitution, the constitution has not given the parliament the right to levy tax on agricultural income. All these taxes which are levied by the government on us is due to the power given to them through our constitution. So the constitution has prohibited the parliament from levying any tax on the agricultural income. So that is why the agricultural income is exempt and the government and the parliament cannot levy tax on it. So let us start with this agricultural income and study this exempted income in detail. All other exempted incomes that we will learn in future, the most important is the agricultural income only. So we have to be very particular about this income and how we define agricultural income, how it is exempted, and how the government has devised a technique of taxing this agricultural income also. We'll study later in this session. So let us start with our agricultural income. The first exempted income, that is agricultural income. The definition given under section 2 subsection 1a defines agricultural income in the following three ways. So if any income earned by an assessee falls under these three categories, then it will be categorized as agricultural income and thus will be exempted. So we have to see whether any of the three conditions given hereon is satisfied or not. If it is satisfied, then we'll exempt that income and not include it in the total income. But if it does not satisfy any of these three conditions, then that income will not be exempted and will form part of total income. And what are the three conditions given? Number one is, it may be rent or revenue derived from land situated in India and used for agricultural purposes. So if we are receiving any rent or revenue from any land situated in India which is used for agricultural purposes, if any agricultural activities are being carried out on any land situated in India and we are receiving any kind of rent or revenue from that land, then that income will be categorized as agricultural income. We'll go on further and see some examples to just understand this definition in a more good manner, and in a particular way we'll understand that what exactly this definition is trying to make us understand. Only definition will obviously not make you understand in a better way, so we have to take some examples in order to make our understanding more clear and more better. So we'll take some examples in the further slides. Secondly, any income derived from such land, that is land used for agricultural purposes, by carrying out agricultural operations including processing of agricultural produce which is either raised by us or received by us as rent in kind so as to render it fit for the market or sale of such produce. Let us understand what this point is trying to convey. If we are receiving any income from any land which is used for agricultural purposes, and in that land we are carrying out some agricultural operations which may include some processing of agricultural produce. Which agricultural produce? Either that agricultural produce is raised by us, that is we are only cultivating agricultural produce, or we have received that agricultural produce as some rent in kind. Anybody has paid us some agricultural produce in a manner of rent in kind. Rather than paying in money, we have received rent in kind of agricultural produce and we are carrying out agricultural operations on those agricultural produce so as to render it fit for the market. So if we are earning from this operation something, then that income will be agricultural income and will be exempted. And if we are earning from sale of such agricultural produce, then also that income will be agricultural income and will be exempted. So again, let us understand what this point is saying. If we are receiving any income from a land which is used for agriculture purposes, and on that land we are carrying out some agricultural operations which may include processing of some agriculture produce. What agriculture produce? The agriculture produce which we have either raised ourselves or which we have received as rent in kind so as to render it fit for the market. We are carrying out some agriculture operations on some agriculture produce in order to render it fit for the market. And in that, due to these processings, we are receiving any income. So that income will be our agricultural income and thus will be exempted. Or if we are earning any income from sale of such agriculture produce, then that income also will be agricultural income and will be exempted. So hope this point is clear, what this point is trying to convey. And lastly, agricultural income may be derived from any farm building required for agriculture operations. What it is saying is that if we are earning any agricultural income from any farm building required for agricultural operations, this last conditions has certain conditions attached to it. If those conditions are fulfilled, then only that income will be treated as agricultural income and will be exempted. And what are those conditions? The conditions are, number one is that the farm building is situated within the immediate vicinity of the agricultural land. So the farmhouse is needed to be situated within the vicinity of the agricultural land. Then only any income earned will be exempted. Number two is that it is either occupied by the cultivator or receiver of rent or revenue. So if the farmhouse is either occupied by the cultivator, meaning the person carrying out the agricultural operations on the agricultural land, or the receiver of rent, meaning that it is either occupied by the person who has given the agricultural land on rent or the farmhouse on rent to someone. So if it is either occupied by the cultivator or the receiver of rent, then that income will be exempted, the income from the farmhouse. Number three is that it is used as dwelling house or storehouse or outhouse. So these three conditions needed to be satisfied in order to categorize the farmhouse as the income from farmhouse as agricultural income and thus exempt. What are the conditions? The farmhouse is needed to be situated in the immediate vicinity of the agricultural land. It is occupied by the cultivator, that is the person carrying out agricultural operations on the agricultural land, or the receiver of rent, that is the person who has given the agricultural land on rent. So it is either occupied by the cultivator or the receiver of rent, then only the income will be exempted. And number three, that the farmhouse is used as dwelling house or storehouse or outhouse. Dwelling house of cultivator or receiver of rent, storehouse of the agricultural produce which has been cultivated on the agricultural land, or outhouse. So these are the three conditions which is needed to be satisfied in order to categorize the income from farmhouse as exempted income. So these are the broad three conditions given under section 2 subsection 1A of the IT Act, which will define what an agricultural income is, and an assessee have to determine whether the income earned by him falls under agricultural income by putting that income under the following three criteria. If that income satisfies any of these three criteria, then that income will be an agricultural income and thus will be exempted. Now let us take some examples to understand in a more better way that what exactly we categorize as agricultural activity or agricultural operations and what are non-agricultural operations. The agricultural operations form agricultural income and the non-agricultural operations will form the non-agricultural income. So there are two categories given over here which will make you understand and make you able to differentiate between agricultural operations, that what are defined as agricultural operations under section 21A, and what are defined as non-agricultural operations. The agricultural operations will obviously generate the agricultural income, and the non-agricultural operations will generate non-agricultural income. So here are the two heads given for the better understanding of the concept of agricultural income. What are the things which will form the agricultural income? These 4 examples are given under the head agricultural income, which are categorized as exempt income as per section 21A. And what are these? Income derived from sale of seeds. So if I am selling some seeds and deriving income from that, then that will be considered as an agricultural operation as per section 2 subsection 1A, and thus that income from the sale of seeds will be an exempt income as it falls under the category of agricultural operations. Number 2, income from growing of flowers and creepers. So if I am growing flowers and creepers and generating income from that, that will also fall under the definition of agricultural income and thus will be exempted. Rent received from land used for grazing of cattle required for agricultural activities. So I have given some part of land to someone for grazing of cattle, and that cattle in turn are required for agricultural activities. So that rent which I am receiving from the land will be my agricultural income. Number 4, income from growing of bamboo. If I am earning any income by growing of bamboo is agricultural activity and thus is a exempt income. So these are some examples of agricultural income which will help you in having a better and clear understanding that what the definition is exactly saying. What are the agricultural operations? What are the things which will be included in the agricultural income? What are the things, the 3 conditions which we had studied in the previous slide, whether the income is falling under those 3 categories. If that is falling, then that will be categorized as agricultural income. So these 4 incomes which are given here under agricultural income satisfies any of the 3 conditions. That one of the 3 conditions given in the previous slide, these 4 incomes satisfies that and thus forms part of agricultural income. Now let us see what are non-agricultural income. Income from breeding of livestock. So if I am earning any income from breeding of livestock, that will not be my agricultural income because breeding of livestock is not considered a agricultural operation. So first of all, we'll try to put this income under the 3 conditions, that whether it satisfies the 3 conditions given under section 21A. Number 1 was rent or revenue received from any agricultural land situated in India which is used for agricultural operations. So this first condition is not being satisfied, that breeding of livestock does not satisfy this first condition, that it is not any rent or revenue received from any land situated in India and used for agriculture purpose. Number 2 was any income derived from land situated in India which is used for agricultural purposes and any agricultural operations is being carrying out, including the processing of agricultural produce to render it fit for the market and sale of such produce. Neither this income is falling under this category. And lastly, the income from farmhouse. So that is also out of the question. So this income from breeding of livestock does not satisfy any of the 3 conditions. Therefore, it is a non-agricultural income. Then again, income from poultry farming, income from fisheries, income from dairy farming. These all are the examples of non-agricultural income which do not form part of the exempt income. So I hope these examples will help you differentiate between agricultural and non-agricultural income and make your concept of agricultural income more clear. Thank you, students. Hope you have understood the definition of agricultural income and what are included and not included in it. In the next class, we'll continue with some more examples for a better understanding, and then we will study the partial integration of agricultural income, that how the government has devised a method to charge agricultural income also to income tax. Thank you.